Hi, everybody. Welcome to Astrology for Awakening. This is your new series that I am starting. I'm Natha Perkins, intuitive and evolutionary astrologer. Hi. We're going to be going through every facet of every sun sign. And I'll tell you, I've been doing this for the last year on my podcast, Star Narratives, but exclusively for YouTube. That's you. I'm going to be taking all of the teachings and bringing them here to YouTube as a standalone series. I'll be releasing a new episode every week that will correspond with the sign of the sun. We are beginning with the transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius. These first few episodes don't have a video because I was doing podcast style before. The way that I teach astrology is that we all have all 12 of these planetary archetypes within us. They are informing us, directing us. They are showing us our potential crises and the skills and gifts that go along with them. We're all doing all 12 all the time. So my goal is to teach you how to identify all of these archetypes within so that you can figure out who you are, what you're doing here at this time, and you can bring your creative, beautiful, unique self to the table. Because the next 20 years with Pluto in Aquarius are going to ask that we become more and more of a collective, and we each bring something special to the table. So these classes are going to help you to do that. So I want to begin with a question. What if the depths and the places that you have been through your Scorpio transformation is the catalyst for your inner Sagittarius's quest for meaning and adventure? Before we jump into the episode, if you like my style and you would like to book a private reading or you would like to find more of my work, you can find me at electraastrology.com. Be sure to like and subscribe so that more people can find this information. All right, let's get started. I want to begin by inviting you to just settle into your body and connect in with your heart. Take some deep breaths into an area of your body that you feel might need a little spaciousness or a little intention. Anything that's feeling contracted. And just imagine as you are breathing in that you are using the gift of fire to burn away anything that is no longer needed. And then imagine that you are using the gift of water to sweep away anything that is left, any residue from what is burning away. And this has been a very deep journey, as it always is. Scorpio has the gift of taking us through some of our darker sides. This archetype of Scorpio that asks us to face our fears, that can bring up a connection to lack, to anger, to resentment. You might have seen some things this Scorpio season that were new to you, that gave you a deeper insight and that helped you to understand which doors to walk through. And the Scorpio work is not always easy. So we have talked about how both Pluto and Mars are rulers of the sign of Scorpio. And they both have this strong connection to one another in that Mars helps us to be very precise with what we want to do, with where we want to go. And Pluto helps us to understand where we have come from and what might be driving us. So hopefully you have seen some of those dark shadow places within, some of your fears, some of the old stories that you go into autopilot on and just kind of accept as the truth. In a moment of conflict, it is very easy to go straight into a defensiveness. If you're having something that you are having a reaction to that is happening in the present moment, and your reaction is one of defensiveness, of trying to make sure that you're not endangered. And you look in the present moment, and really there's nothing that is actually dangerous. You're just having a very strong reaction. But you go back into your past and you say, this feels familiar. This feels like something that one of my parents said to me when I was younger. And I'm having a reactivation of that. And so think of how often you do that in your own life, where you are simply reacting to something in the present moment that's really just a trigger for something that was upsetting for you as a child. And that's one of the things about Scorpio, is that it can help us to understand what it is that is causing us that underlying stress. It helps us to bring awareness so that we aren't under the thumb of that old story, and we get our power back. So as you sense into your body, just noticing, are there places in your body that are in contraction, that need a little extra breath? And if so, just breathe into it. We are going now into Sagittarius season, which is a completely different flavor. Sagittarius is where we come out from the depths. We come up for air and we rise up above, and we see with a perspective what we have just gone through as we have traversed these deep, personal, potent, emotional waters of Scorpio. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It is a mutable fire sign. And I will go through so many different versions of Sagittarius as we progress through the month. But the thing about Sag is that it is about expansion. It is about taking what we've learned and really turning it into something useful, turning it into a teaching, turning it into an adventure, turning it into an exploration that is meant to help us see ourselves differently. Sagittarius is connected to philosophy, to religions, to the way that we think, to our belief systems. And one of the tricks with Sagittarius is that we don't want to get stuck necessarily on what we think we know. And so as we moved through Scorpio season, we got a lot of insight into what we think we know. Oh, when I feel this way, it means that I am endangered. And we get insight and we say, no, that's actually not true. Or I have to be very careful that I don't lose everything that I have. And then we do more inquiry into that. And we say, well, that's not actually really true, because I can create anything that I lose. I can recreate it. And that's that Taurus Scorpio axis. So then we move into Sagittarius, and we have to be careful that we aren't bringing our old belief systems straight in and just taking them at face value. Because Sagittarius is always pointing us in the direction of exploration. We deepened in the sign of Scorpio, and in Sagittarius, we zoom out. We're trying to see the whole picture. We're trying to see the many facets, the many puzzle pieces that go together to create the whole story. So we use what we learned in Scorpio, diving down deep and understanding each puzzle piece really specifically and really well. And then we take it out in Sag and we say, what do we have here? Like, what is the picture that's on this puzzle? What happens as I start to put all of these pieces together? And that's really one of the gifts of Sagittarius, is it helps us to broaden our minds. It helps us to see with vision so that we know, what do I want to focus on moving forward? What are my philosophical views? How do I want to see myself through this lens? How do I want to see the world through this lens of expansion? Through this lens of seeing that things that are bigger than me or outside of me help to give my life meaning. So Sagittarius is a sign that is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter also traditionally rules the sign of Pisces. So Sagittarius and Pisces have some similarities. Sagittarius will usually rule the beliefs that we as humans have and formulate, whereas Pisces will rule the beliefs that we connect in with our spirituality. So they both have a thread that weaves through them where we are meant to tap into something greater than ourselves. And as we move through Sagittarius season, we'll be talking a lot about how to work with that, with the ability to see many different pieces of a puzzle at once, hold different and varying belief systems as both being true at once. And we begin to see the world in Sagittarius through the lens of others in a way that we haven't necessarily done up until this point. Sagittarius is a sign that contains the ideas of freedom and optimism and happiness. A lot of times Sagittarius will feel good when we slip into it, but know that as we transition, that this is a time period where you are being asked to climb out of the muck, and you are being asked to see things through a different lens, whatever that means to you.